I have been awake for a while, so I'm going to try and make this quick. This is a fairly simplistic way of getting around some of the issues that I just kind of really quickly put together. So take that for what you will. For how to build these massive mega project dams. So we already know about oil rigs. If you don't know about oil rigs, all they are is basically a concrete cylinder that sucks down to the bottom. They use effectively a bunch of pumps, and then the pressure of the water around them keeps them where they are, right? That's effectively the start of the bones, and then it's using suspension with a buoyancy of water and airship tech to effectively manhandle and push a bunch of different roads, right? Road types. Then it's placing in like a pulling it down using the buoyancy thing and some torque, and you're basically just manhandle it again with some rope and sucking out water as we do that to allow for it to get down to the bottom, suck out water, and as we have two areas now that are connected that are sealed enough, and then it's like then move another one over, and then suck out the water in between that one and the next wall. And this would be more of like a sheet kind of technology, anyways. But then it's like then you take the previous one, you move it over, and then you have the next one, and then the next one. And while that's going on, you're going to pour in your concrete. Concrete's the biggest issue with concrete. It's pretty simple for me because it's like, all right, hold your horses. You have a bunch of e-waste and a bunch of old coffee grounds, epoxies, and other styles of waste material that can easily be ground up and turned into something that's it's just fine and even better than most normal concrete for applications of high salinity and aggregate of the ocean. Now, as a result, that means I'm able to create rapidly a very, very quick dam structure initially and then form larger, better dam structures. Then I have a bladeless turbine that's 90% efficient for what it's worth because it's basically a bunch of piezoelectrics and moving water and some Stirling vacuum area diaphragm, and what do you know, presto changeo, water flows through, and I get 90% efficiency because piezoelectric. So then it's like, right, but then it's like, I'll just let, ocean life go through at various times that we need to undisturb it with the turbine stuff, more or less the best I can for when I need that. And that is the basic way of doing it. Now, it's cheaper as a result of doing it like this. And in fact, I can source materials much more readily, which means not only is it faster because I already have a lot of the pieces built, then it's cheaper also to basically do what we're doing with the materials that we have to source. It means I can get it accomplished faster, which means cost also gets reduced because I don't have to pay a bunch of fucking people to do it for a lot longer. Because I can source out, make it pre-built, get it done, place it, and then start the whole process faster and faster as you ramp up one area, and then you do another, and then you do another, and you do another, and you do another, and you do another, and get it all done in a few years, most likely 5, maybe 10 at most, for need. And I think Joe Scott was talking about the Moroccan Mediterranean thing, which would still work. Now, I don't have any figures in terms of like really hardcore um, sanity check types of money finances you're gonna have to run, but it's not gonna be a quarter trillion. I'll tell you that fucking much. It'd be about 3, maybe 5 billion. I can probably for sure conservative 12 to maybe 20 at most, but that's just because people pay you to effectively get rid of your waste and your coffee grounds and more. So that'll help out with costs. It's like, look, you're a company that's making this shit. Don't you want me to take it off your hands? Well, yes, of course I do. All right. Yay. Yeah, that kind of thing. Which will be fine for what it's worth. And then the 20 figures is a salary of about 100K for each one of the given workers and the type of rigs, machines, which we already have. And then it's slowly building out instead of having to build a whole big one. It's boom, 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 seal, 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 move forward as go along. And that would reduce the cost and complexity and the speed because you can still do it during the winter. And I actually start producing some amount of electricity, other than that's more of a wave undulational type of design as it goes around the dam as you're building it, and you have to move it around to have it flow properly, which is fine. But that means you also get electricity from the start as you continue building it, that kind of thing, which of course helps pay for it. And then you get more and 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 more until eventually you go to, well, it's done, and so it's all of it. Now, I don't know how much they're actually going to pay the workers. I don't know how many workers they're really going to do, but mine was based upon about 100,000 people over the course of about 10 years, making electricity and making money from the materials that we basically source using already known value to work machines that are easy to operate and not difficult to ultimately be safe and quick with, which of course improves financing for it. So it basically means we could have need now in Morocco now, the Mediterranean now, that kind of thing, right? Instead of having to do it the stupid way, if you ask me. You could do it a better, smarter way, but then at the same time, I'm pretty sure certain engineers would have come up with some of those things, but not all of those things like that. I mean, an airship and buoyancy, like buoys, along with a pulley system, which would be fine because then that also gets me electricity. As I spend electricity, I can take that electricity back out. And then as I take water out, which has to take it, be used as a pump, that's a water battery, which improves efficiency. Okay. Especially when it's like, well, I can use acoustic pump technology. So a good way to put that is, as I'm trying to bring it down, and now that it's more of like a sheet, sort of, wall sheet thing, that means I have the ability to use phasing on one side and another as acoustics with a regular pump, but then happen to have like multiple little drain system setups throughout the sheet, which allows for sheet wall thing, which allows for it to then use standard gravitational measures to dump it off, kind of like a waterfall sort of way, and then use wicking effects and heat cooling for the acoustic pump to allow for increased efficiency of the given design, which then means pumping costs are massively reduced. Same thing for suspension, because you're going to want that to actually be attached to something, so then a suspension bridge sort of design alongside of the airship reduces the overall need, because then the airship can also be used as a solar panel and windmill farm, which starts getting me electricity pretty quickly, and I'm going to want it anyways, considering I'm going to need to try and do this reduction of cost for to do it. Plus, it's a windmill that's a pump, and then it's a solar panel that's a pump, and there's a lot of pumps there going on for the pumping action I need to do with the torquey torque actions I need to have done. Effectively, it's like, well, I don't know why you wouldn't do that, but maybe they're not that smart. I don't know. Um, Maybe they are. I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know. They could honestly see this and then maybe think that that would be great. That would be awesome because then we could have a huge hydroelectric dam that prevents a lot of flooding and also just better, world politic problems. The pacifist is right. And it comes down to like basically no more resource issues on that side for electricity. Just saying. Yeah, I watched the video, but it's also something I came up with back in Chandler, for what it's worth. I had a similar idea for a similar video, if not exactly verbatim the same, but I'm going to move off of that because it's like, I was dealing with a lot of issues, about to be homeless soon in a mental health hospital. At the time, back in mid 2010s, dealing with Trump, my mom, and all the rest of it. So it's like, whatever, who gives a shit. So it's what it is. But what I meant was that the project for the hydroelectric dams, because I was initially thinking about the Three Gorges Dam and how fucking stupid they were to make it the way they did. Because, like, honestly, that was ridiculously dumb how they went about it. And I was previously thinking about it because of the Hoover Dam. You see, I'm ADHD, so it's like Hoover Dam, dumb, algae bloom, bad problem, big tunnel to dump off excess water. Now it doesn't even have enough water. Problem issue. Stupid people. Look at the millions of pounds of concrete they had for fucking no reason. Makes no sense after a while. But you know what? We could do it better. You could do it this way, which makes it so you're not stupid. That kind of thing. It's like, well, if I had to do it, how would I do it? Well, I know about wicking effects. I know about, like, effectively steam. I know about, like, the equivalent of reducing pressure in one area and creating, like, cold on one, and then that's a Stirling because pressure here, less pressure there. I want to pump it out. I need electricity. I need this kind of acoustic pump. I need this kind of setup. Then I need, like, these things for oil rigs, which can go down this far, which this is a given pumping action for that, and then that's effectively just a statically fixed position, but they can't really do suspension without, like, buoy type pontoon and airship type pontoon, effectively making sure that they don't tip over and it's easier for them to be bolted on and are more than easy enough to effectively just be placed on and work pretty quickly. Then it would be just a matter of setting up enough of them, one side and another side, then filling up the in between of the two, and then starting to make it bigger and bigger over time for the amount of water that you're going to pump out, which is basically how I tried to start up like a train system after a point, which I had talked about already on my YouTube, about to make a 15-mile long train that's the size of 5 cargo ships. That's right, ships, not containers. Ships, averaged out, and a 5x5. 50 miles long, but it could go just slightly over 1 Mach. So that way I get lifting body characteristics and a little bit of this thing called a sliding tunnel. So it's like, it's not a fully encompassed tunnel and I'm not sucking out the air. I just sort of seal it a little bit by sliding things forward, then using effectively a bunch of maglev instead of making this idea of superconducting. It's just regular actual rails, a little bit of magnet, a little bit of air pressure, and a little bit of lack of air pressure at the top because it's pretty close to the tube with the attractive and repulsive type of electromagnetic effect. Then the fact that there are wheels there with electric motors, you get the picture when it comes down to sucking things and blowing things and moving air around to improve given lifting body characteristic efficiencies, and then I can seal the tube and just allow for it to run through a bunch of turbines as it pushes air forward. And then I have the ability to also use the airships and all the rest of it as like extra electricity and solar panel and windmills. And I already put it on my creative ideas on my YouTube channel. I think 2, 3 times, maybe 4 total. So I just refined it over time because it was like, all right, so what was the material I was going to use? Well, I don't want it to be that heavy. So I'm just going to use a bunch of vacuum tension plastic composite with aluminum. And then I can use the fluid that I have to run through to allow for, things to get cooled and turbines to spin and air pressures to be nominal on one side versus another and diverted with a lifting body characteristic. Then it means I'm able to improve aerodynamic efficiency thanks to the lightness, even though it's 5 cargo ships in size, but it still does it because I don't really have to worry, truthfully, because I always put more wheels. You can use effectively magnetic bearing and fluid bearing wheels, which can be in their own right electrically resistive braking along with the air too. It could easily power itself because there's more than enough solar panels to go around for what it's worth. But it's like, well, windmills too. And then my bladeless turbine, then airships, humidity generator. So apparently humidity here, dry there, equal generation. It's a whole electron flow thing. And then it's like Starling and piezoelectric for vacuum here and pressure there. Heat there, not heat there. Then it's like, well, then I just need a little bit of gimbaling as it goes up and down, with the waves, which allows for it to be always steady and stable and flat as it travels that fast with much less weight considering it's 15 miles long and 5 by 5 cargo ships, which means 5 height, 5 across, that kind of thing. But all that really means is it's like, guess what? I've spread out my weight tremendously. And I've also been able to do this eddy current effect for linear generation, as the very definition of the composite means I can act as a type of eddy current braking for linear generation, or a type of also linear acceleration, not just with the wheels. Which is great. Like, honestly. But nobody even looked at it, so, super great. Maybe I can eventually find some income for the SSI, and would that be enough to pay like an editor to just edit some of these things? Probably not what's going to happen. It's not enough to make any actual money. Alrighty, bye. Please like and subscribe.